Hello, everyone. Welcome to another conversation here at lifewriting.com. With me is a very special guest helping me to recognize a few special topics throughout the month of October. As we all know, October recognizes a wealth of topics and causes. During this segment, we'll be conversing a little about health literacy, along with breast cancer awareness, and also domestic violence awareness. Hello, Ms. Mickles. How are you?
Well, hello. I'm doing fine. How are you?
I am doing so good.
Yeah, I'm very honored to be on. All the subjects you talk about are subjects that matter to me. So thank you
Well,
so
great.
much for the opportunity.
Let's go ahead and jump into it. So
Yes.
I want to start on the along the lines of the health literacy part, right?
Hmm.
And some of these questions, as you'll see, are kind of multifaceted. But anyway, um, as a breast cancer survivor, thank God,
Yes.
right?
Yes. 19.
What's that?
19 years.
Nine. Okay, now, whoa, 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 19 years?
19 years. Yes. 19
Wow,
years.
I knew it had been a while, but
Hmm.
I would have been way off had I had to guess.
Yes. 19.
Wow,
And grateful for it. Still
and
here.
and grateful for it. That exactly.
Yes.
And the causes, your nonprofit that you started, which we're going to get into a little more
Yeah.
about later.
Hmm.
Again, I'm just excited to have you on. So anyway,
Thank you.
before I totally get ahead of myself, um, as I was saying, as a breast cancer survivor, you
Yes.
know, what was the most significant health related information your doctor or doctors communicated to you early on?
To take care of myself. At the time when I was diagnosed, I was running. I was like running 4 miles a day every day, and so at the time when I got diagnosed, the doctors was very positive. They were very positive and very forthcoming, and saying, "Miss Mickles, you're in great shape." And nevertheless, the situation is upon you. You're going to do fine. And what we want you to do is just take each step one day at a time, one moment at a time. So it's very important that what they reflected to me is that to take care of yourself and do some sort of exercise. I probably can't do 4 miles now, but at the time when I was diagnosed in 2002,
Uh-huh.
I was doing that kind of regimen for myself, drinking lots of water, just being mindful of what I eat,
Right.
for one, and just being aware of my body. And
Mhm.
that's exactly how I found out about the cancer, because I am was in that space of being aware of what my body should feel like, what my body should look like. And so it was
Wow.
very much, I was the one that kind of said, or God kind of helped me definitely to say something's not right. So I
Wow.
had just had an examination for uh, um, breast cancer,
Okay.
not for the cancer, but just a breast examination that we do yearly. Most women start in their 40s
Okay.
and get this examination done. And so I had just been that person, always aware of my body. So I actually started checking myself in my 30s.
Oh
And so
wow.
yes, so in my 30s I started to do that. And so at the time of the examination, the breast uh, examination that month, I had a lot going on with lots of kids at my house, as I usually do, grandkids and other kids. And so I had had the examination like August. And so they sent me a note, and which is the other important thing that every person should know. Nevertheless, if the doctor sends you a note that says that nothing's there and that there is nothing going on, you still should be checking your breast on a regular basis, at least
Right.
monthly. At
But
least
but
monthly.
but like you said though, so and that's interesting too. You first and foremost, as you foot stomp, you were already in tune with your body. You know
Right.
how it
Very much so.
feel with it, be it pre, post various exercises,
Hmm.
runs, what have you. You
Right.
already know, and that's a very, very, very important aspect of your
Yes.
health itself, of health awareness.
Yes.
But what I found was interesting. they did the test and things came back, like you said, negatively, right? And correct me if I
Right,
misspeak,
right.
but because you were in tune with your body at that point, you kind of sensed that
Yes.
something wasn't right.
Something wasn't right
Oh,
because in examining my body, I found this knot in my areola, my nipple. And
okay.
so it was like not supposed to be there. And I was like, this is not right. Something's not
Wow.
right. So I actually went back to the doctor to get an examination again, like a month later. And so they said, well, Miss Mickles, we can't find anything on it. And so they said to me, you can come back monthly to stick a needle inside of your nipple.
Right.
And I was like, no, I'm not interested in that. And so I was like, so what's my another choice? And
Right.
they said, we could go in and take the knot out. I said, we're gonna do that. And so thank
Wow.
God I was proactive, because when they went in to take the little knot out that was in my breast,
Yeah.
that's when they found the cancer. I was a
Wow.
stage 4. There's 4 stages to cancer. There's an A, B, C. I believe there's a D. But I was a 4C. So once you at 4C, the cancer has gone like crazy. And so
Right.
it's a crazy moment here, and truly a God moment, that they didn't recognize that I had breast cancer at the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And so until they got to the pathologist who dissected the materials and found the cancer cells there, that's when they called me back to say, Miss Mickles, you have breast cancer. So
Wow.
it's pretty
So,
devastating.
and the word you use, it had you not been as proactive,
Right,
in addition to being, like you said, in tune with your body,
right,
um, only God knows how, that could have turned out at that
right.
point.
I would say also it's important that a person know that they have that right to ask the question. And that is the one thing that shut a lot of people out of going that extra step, is because they think that they don't have a right to ask the doctor. But you do have a right to ask the doctor. You're actually there for a diagnosis, and you should feel as though a relationship has been developed, that
Right.
you should be able to ask the question, no matter how off it may be and
Right.
whatever you may feel. That's another important piece that the people know, is that you have a right to ask.
Wow.
Ask the
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah, exactly. So let me ask you, Ms. Mickles. So,
Yeah.
you know, um, okay, you got the word. They went back in and they found, and they corrected it, if you will.
Yeah. Hmm.
There's other treatment that you
Yes.
had to undergo. What kind of? And you don't have to delve into the details, but
Yeah.
how how,
Oh,
how was that?
the treatment that is chemotherapy,
Yeah.
which was about 6 weeks, and radiation was about 6 weeks. And so they space the time out that they give you this preventive measures to help you.
Right.
And so I am like that as well, but I'm researching. So I got this book called The Breast Book, and it was by a doctor. I can't remember because I've given it away by now to
Okay.
many others. But in this book, it talks about all the things that the doctor's talking about, like HR2 and all of these things that you
Mm,
don't know anything about. That's why
mm,
you need to read your book and get some information on the things that
exactly.
they're saying. And it's also important, if you go to these types of appointments, take someone along with you so they can listen with you as well.
That's a great
So,
point. Yes.
yes, take someone along with you. And on that particular day, I never thought that they was going to say that to me. So my husband didn't go with me. And so then I had the whole thing, how I'm going to tell everyone. So that's
Right.
another story, because I called you and I was like, I'm trying to find Tisa, and
Yes. Yes.
to make sure that she was aware of that. But the chemo itself is like this. This is how I explain chemo.
Okay.
Chemo, the part about chemo for me was a mental rush. It wasn't so much the drug itself, but it was, I am not in control of what's going in my body. That depressed me more than anything, because as a human, we all want to control what's happening, right? But at that moment, that drug was running through my body, and it was the one that was controlling me. Now, the drug itself, it was going inside my bloodstream and finding any cells that were gotten out of the bloodline. So the chemo
Right.
itself goes to attack those cells, right, in the bloodline, right? And so
Mm.
after they do what they're doing to get you healthy,
Uh-huh.
what if some cells got outside the bloodline and they're hanging out over there just waiting for everything to move? So that's where radiation shows up. It
Mm.
captures those cells that got out of the bloodline and take them down.
So you address one of the questions I wanted to pose with respect to just your communication with your
Hmm.
primary care physician or what have you, and you're right, you hit the nail on the head. Just to expand on it, with regards to, yeah, just asking the questions, something
Yes.
you don't understand.
Hmm.
If there's some literature that and normally they're pretty good with that, giving you
Yeah.
literature to take home,
Right.
or giving you a website or two, or whatever the case may be. But yeah, you're right. It's so important to have some type of knowledge about a particular thing yourself. So
Right.
yeah,
It
thanks for
is.
sharing that.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and pivot the domestic violence awareness. And
Yes.
I, and again, correct me if I misspeak. I didn't mention initially,
Hmm.
and thank you for your service. You
You're welcome.
chief. Are you a chief in
Yes.
the Air Force?
I
Yes.
retired as a chief.
That,
Yes.
that, that is right. Chief Master Sergeant
Hmm.
Air Force. I Another phrase I always say, been there, done that.
Yeah. Yep.
This lady, Miss Mickles, has truly been there, done that in a lot of spaces.
Yeah.
Um, and again, as I said earlier, another reason why I wanted to bring you on. But
Hmm.
I know a lot of your background, or you had some involvement with domestic violence awareness.
Yes.
Um, of course, you have your walkaway standing.
Yes.
You are the founder of that organization, which we're going to, start to talk about here shortly. But
Hmm.
with respect to domestic violence awareness,
Yes.
and be it from your walking away standing vantage point, or professionally, um, what's your background?
There's my own personal experience, which I can share, later. But the
Okay.
one thing that really got me to that space was being a paralegal working for the Air Force. I
Mhm.
was chosen to take care of their victim witness assistance program by a colonel that came on board, and she was just like, I had a job, but she gave me more work. And so maybe I shouldn't have done the job so good. She wouldn't have gave me more work, but she totally turned me into the space of being proactive in what I did, and she supported it. And
Right.
I was able to connect the community to the Air Force base. If there's a domestic violence outside the community, how to reach out to us so we can assist them. So I ran the whole victim witness assistance program from, I guess, 2001 to about 2005 when I left. And so the program was honored among Headquarters Africa as the STAR program. Now there's so much emphasis on the Victim Witness Assistance Program that I feel really proud that we did our program the right way. So as a program coordinator, I needed to get some advocates because
Okay.
again, you can't do everything, run the program, be the advocate. But at first, that's what I was doing. So
Okay.
with my experience as an advocate, I had a double hat. And so there was cases that came up that needed victims to understand the court process. And
Mm.
that's where I showed up as their advocate to explain to them what was happening next, to provide for them any support that they needed to understand what was happening. And I think I got really turned to the fact that nevertheless,
Hmm.
the victim has been victimized. They still love and care for the perpetrator.
Mm.
That was so clear to me in my job as an advocate. So I had to turn off the opinion and stay focused on taking care of the victim. I
Wow.
had children victims. of sexual assault.
Uh-huh.
And so that kind of turned me into this space of caring, not, not that I didn't care, but
Yeah.
actually peeling back that layer of taking care of victim victims of crime, period, because that's what the VWAP program is about. Is at the beginning, it was just like victim witness assistance program. So it was domestic violence, it was sexual assault, it was all these things rolled into one. But now there's a separate one for sexual assault. There's a separate space for domestic violence and other things of that nature. So my experience started even before then. I forgot about the part that I worked in Arizona at the Attorney General's office. And at the Attorney General's office, I volunteered for a whole year while living there at this section that kind of kept up with victims of crime and kept them informed and stuff like that. So
Wow.
that experience was well. And then we moved to San Antonio. So I stayed with that office for about a year. So I started as a volunteer. Again, I guess I did too much, too good. So then they wanted me to be on staff, and it was a great experience. I
Wow.
just, at that point, how you know certain pieces, but you don't know how to help just yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was doing the administrative stuff, but now I was at the table. At the table means you got to interact, you got to bring thoughts and processes to the table.
Mm.
And so I moved. So Leon got an assignment and we moved. And so, but that experience was kind of like a part of it as well. And so as I go on through my life and, everywhere I went, the Victim Witness Assistance Program followed me. So once they found out that I was aware of it, even now in my civilian job, that program still follows.
Wow.
And I'm happy to do it because it's like it's like a chip off the shoulder. I don't have to think
Absolutely.
about it because I really care about the people, and I'm an advocate for everyone to be at the best stage that they can be in their lives. So
Absolutely. No,
pretty much
look,
started.
I'm glad you shared that the way you did, because
Yeah.
you touched on. I know one other thing, maybe two other things that I was going to ask you about, but that was perfect segue,
Thank you.
and very how should I put it? Succinct information that people can follow,
Right.
if they do find themselves, unfortunately,
Right.
in a comparable, situation, domestic
Yes.
violence. So look, I do want to ask though. I know, every state is different.
Hmm.
How they facilitate certain programs, the reporting of it. And
Right.
the military does it its way, the private
Hmm.
civilian sector, et cetera, et cetera. How, in terms of the resources that are out there, how if
Hmm.
one finds themselves in a compromising situation, right?
Hmm.
Domestic violence, right?
Hmm.
To call it bluntly, what
Right.
what are some of the resources that they should look out for, to your knowledge?
For one, they should be aware of that there is a shelter that's available for them. The key to the perpetrator to be in control is to let them know that they don't have nobody. And that's not true. If they have a friend, she's looking, she's thinking. And at all times, it is a very dangerous thing to deal with a perpetrator that's very controlling. So you need to start at the lowest level of just being aware. Those things are in any Google search. You want to get to the 1-800 number. And what they do is they don't talk you into leaving, they give you information as to what it is that you're going through and help you to make the decision on your own as to what is best. And they offer to you some options as to where you can go. And that's in any state, in any place, you will find a shelter. There's lots of different agencies out there that help victims of domestic violence. And, for me, as we get a chance to transition into Walk Away Sandy, I will share with you where I come into the play of trying to help the victims of domestic violence. But there's a police
Hmm.
department. I
Hmm.
mean, they're aware of it. How many murders have happened because the police has showed up to help the
Right.
victim? So the victim can go there. They can find a local Red Cross or
Hmm.
someplace, just there's many agencies out there that's willing to help you, but you, as the victim, and if you're in a situation, you have to be very careful how you leave the perpetrator. It's just very volatile. It's
Yeah.
very volatile that the
Yeah.
person that's controlling the situation,
Hmm.
and you just have to be very, 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 very careful
Yeah.
how
I
you leave.
understood. Yeah.
Very careful. But there's all sorts of resources out there. And like I said, with our phones now, we can just look it up.
Right.
And on my website, there's a section that says, how do I know that I'm abused? That's one thing that a lot of people don't even recognize if they are in an abusive situation, because they're so mentally connected to the individual. Um, Sometimes the perpetrator is so controlling that they take the money, they take the cars, they take everything about you having any sort of identification of a person, and they
Wow.
manage it and control it. And then sometimes if you have an animal, they'll victimize the animals as well. But if you
Right.
have children, they traumatize the children. I mean, it's just so much. And a lot of women leave because they say, I'm okay, but
Yeah.
don't go to my kids. Don't mess with my
Right.
animal. Then
Right.
they started thinking that it's time for them to leave. So 1 in 2 female murder victims, there's that's the statistics on that. That's 1 in 13 male murder victims are killed by their intimate partner. So 1 in 2 females are murdered, and then 1 in 13 males are murdered by their intimate partner. With our transgender world now,
Yeah.
and with the pandemic as
Yeah.
it is, everyone has had to come in to a space of, you know, leaning on the perpetrator even more. But the
Mm.
domestic violence has increased. It has increased triple fold
Yeah. Yeah.
because of that. They don't have any place to go,
Wow.
and they're stuck, or they feel like they're stuck.
Yeah. Or they
But
right. They feel like they're stuck.
they
Exactly.
feel like they're stuck. And so the person still has hope. I mean, as walkaway standing, which you've shown up here on
Hmm.
the site, it actually in the blog section of walkaway standing is where the stories are, sort of the information that a person can get about the effects of walkaway standing. How does it affect
Wow.
the children? How do you know that you're in a domestic violence situation? All those things are a part of our site, and we have like scriptures and encouragement words and challenges, and some of the challenges are very small. The challenge for a person of domestic violence is to feel good about themselves. And so
Right.
that's what we come in at, just to say, okay, the small challenge for you today is just to smile at someone,
Yeah.
because they have lost their ability to just be a person. So that could be small enough to get them to feel better about themselves and to complete that little small test for themselves. It's like, just small things. And so on the
Yeah.
site, there's different avenues for a person to get scriptures and, encouragement. And that's where walkaway standing shows up. Now, our website has all this information, but we also have an attache case that we're giving to shelters. And we're working on doing a contest so a person can win one of the attache cases. Now, the attache case has encouragement there. It will also have resources for a person to be able to have. We chose the attache case mainly. There's a picture of it there. I started, there it is there. That's what it looks like.
Oh yeah.
And we chose that because it's less threatening for the perpetrator to see you as something of that nature. And
Mm.
then you can, it has just lots of encouragement, little Bible books for you to have, and information about,
Nice.
domestic violence. Now, that book that's there, we're planning to transition it to something else, but
Okay.
that's how we started out. But we're still growing.
Wow. Now that this is awesome. Oh
Thank
yeah.
you.
Yeah. Walkawaystanding.org. Yes.
Yes. And I'd like to mention, Mr. Jones, is that the best part of uh, uh, the attaché case to me is the dear daughter letter. There is a dear daughter letter that
Mm.
speaks to the soul of the person. Every time I read it, it makes me feel as though God wrote it himself. It says, "Dear daughter, I've been thinking of you and waiting for you to move toward me and to not believe what someone has said about you. I've always been with you and I will never ever leave you." So it talks about the end. It said, when you no longer have your joy, it's time to walk. When you no longer have your peace, it's time to walk. So it's really a beautifully written letter, I say, from God to the person that's reading it, just to let them know that they're going to be all right.
Now that, yes, you talk about information and a perfect way to end this session. That
Yes.
that's and I want to make sure too. I mean, folks saw it.
Hmm.
But the walkawaystanding.org. I want to make sure I spelled it correctly. Um,
Yes.
yeah, walkawaystanding.org is where you can go to find
Right.
more information.
And
This
if they join our tribe, we'll send them a poem that they can have.
again, like I said, the month of October has so many just topics of awareness or what have you. And
Yes.
you know, those two or three really resonated with me, and it was just folks
Mhm.
like you with your subject matter expertise, your personal experiences, or what have you, in which
Yes.
I found it like very important to have someone like you on. So
But
I
thank
really,
you.
really appreciate it.
Well,
So
it was a great pleasure to be here because anytime that I can speak about Walkaway Standing, because it
yeah,
has been my baby for years. I started this dream and this focus, this vision that God gave me like 2006. Can you believe that? And I was like, God, 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 when? And so just recently in 2018, we actually got to own our name. I was owning our name before we owned our name. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't own it. I was just hoping that it
yeah,
belonged to us. And at the time when I went in, no one owned Walkaway Standing. And so it was truly a blessing from God. So 2018, October, we became official. We got a 501c3, but that is truly nothing but God. I mean, I started in 2006.
yes,
Brief statement. And I mentioned in my own personal walk and dealing with domestic violence, that's important as well. So
right.
people can understand that it's just not the heart that I have, but my experience as well. In a previous relationship, I was pretty much abandoned, not treated well, before, my husband now. But it was not a good place to be. I had left home and it was just drama, drama, drama. And so I wasn't welcome where I was at. And so, I was, had such a pressure on me, and I was just like, felt so out of sorts. And so I understand the disconnect that a person can feel when they are being under subjection to a person that's not very nice to them or don't want them around anymore. So I'm a much aware of those feelings. And I think because of that experience, I decided that I would never ever allow that to happen to me again. And so from that, I carried a lot of stuff inside. But over the years, I've learned to let that stuff go and be a better person, but be a better person in helping others to understand that they are worthy to feel good about themselves, worthy to stand up for themselves, and also that God loves them no matter what they're experiencing.
That is it.
Thank you.
Miss Mickles, thank
Yes.
you again so
You're
much
welcome.
for just your candor, your openness,
Yeah.
just being honest and real
Yeah.
about, especially about subjects like this. I mean,
Yes.
it kind of goes without saying, but yeah, I
Yes. It's
really
my
appreciate.
pleasure.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. And I know
You're welcome.
everyone viewing this thing are going to get something again, that they could take away and use with respect to what you've shared. So I
Well,
thank
thank
you.
you. Thank you
All right.
so much. And you have a blessed evening.
You as well. And
All
of
right.
course, we'll be talking later.
Okay. Bye.
Okay. Bye. All right, everyone. Miss Evelyn Mickles touching on a few topics, as you heard, a wealth of information, again, be it from her personal expertise or personal experiences or what have you. So, a lot of that was very informative to me, as I hope it will be for you all. Thanks as always for supporting lifewriting.com, where writing speaks.